Episode 6 The Last Fairy on Earth. The beginning of this episode starts off with the girls eating breakfast and preparing to fix up their apartment before the guys come over for dinner. Stella is seen waking up and heading downstairs. She apologized for being late, for she's still getting the hang of the solar system's sun patterns. Afterwards, Aisha and the Muses said there's something that the others need to hear. Flora asks what's wrong, followed by Aisha responding that she knows who the last Earth Fairy is. She reveals that it's that Roxy girl that they've encountered these past weeks. Takana said that's a big speculation and asks if she's certain about this. Musa jumped in saying that Aisha was correct, for she was with her when they saw Roxy yesterday across the street from their window and released another wave of the magical energy that they both felt. Aisha then added that whenever they sensed the magic trail, Roxy was coincidentally there. Flora also says that one of the fairy pet's purposes is to help draw the last fairy to them, as she mentioned back in episode 4. And Roxy came to their shop twice and was interested in adopting the pets. Bloom says it does make sense, but how can they be certain that she is and where to find her? Also adding, how can they approach her in this situation? Stella says they can check the forms that they made her and other customers fill in for the adoption process, that her address should be on there. While Bloom went to find the paperwork, the others began to decorate the apartment further using magic. Musa used her magic to have the objects clean her section, while she summons the Book of Fairies to investigate more of the Believix transformation. She called the others and Bloom, who just returned with the paperwork, then explained the awesome powers that the Believix have. She stated that for a fairy to achieve Believix, people must accept that fairies and magic are real by developing trust in them. For the more people believe and trust in fairies, the stronger the Believix fairy gets. But this can only be achieved where people don't believe in fairies or magic. It also explained that Believix fairies can reach within the hearts of people, as Farragon explained in episode 1, but it doesn't explain how. This is due to the fact that some of the pages beyond the basic info Believix is magically sealed. Bloom says that perhaps they must require the power first, then it can unlock its secrets further. Flora then says it's incredible how many forms a fairy can reach after they earn enchantix, and is looking forward to experiencing the Believix powers and using it to help others. The next scene, we see Sky and Helia walking downtown, then met up with Riven and Brandon, where they told them they found another job, and it's at the 3D Music Bar. The owner of the place, named Klaus, wanted to set an interview with them tomorrow early afternoon, and Timmy said he found one for himself, working with computers and other electronics. They then walk to meet with Naboo and head over to their place. Unknown to them, Mitzi is spying on Brandon. Frustrated that all of her attempts of seducing him have failed, she decides that she should spy on Bloom and the girls, particularly Stella, to see what she has that she doesn't so she can get Brandon. She called her friends to help her with her little mission. We transfer over back to the apartment where the girls are still cleaning up until they heard the doorbell ring. Musa states it could be the boys, but to be safe, the girls stop using their magic. Bloom then opens up the door, and to her surprise, to see that Andy, Rio, and Mark had come over. The guys said they walked by the pet shop, for Rio and Mark heard about it through Andy and wanted to adopt a pet for their partners, but noticed that it was closed. Also to see how the girls are doing and wanted to ask them in person if they would like to come by the 3D Music Bar for their show for the next night. Before the girls can answer, the guys saw how the walls looked a bit chaotic. Stella explains that they've been trying to get their apartment together for a dinner date with their boyfriends, to which Mark suggested that they should help the girls out and show them the ropes. The scene pretty much stays the same, and unknown to them, Mitzi, along with Stacy and Brooke, were spying on them, taking pictures and videos of them interacting with the guys. Over at the boys' apartment, we see that they are speaking to Professor Saladin and the Company of Light. Sky apologized for the secret being out sooner from the girls, but Hawkins says that this fault is not their own. He further explained that he and the rest of the professors agreed that they should have been honest with the girls from day one. This is a situation they haven't properly planned nor expected to do. Helia told Hagen not to be too hard on themselves, for they're all trying to figure this out. Farragon followed up saying that perhaps they may need additional support for this mission, that they can assist here back in Magix. Saladin then asked if there were any updates regarding to the last Earth Fairy, to which Timmy says no and was hoping to ask the girls tonight for their dinner date. Naboo did speak up saying that there might be a lead to who she is, based on Aisha's speculations, but they haven't have solid evidence yet. Saladin then asks Helia and the boys how they're adjusting to life on Earth. Helia explained to his grandfather that living on Earth is nearly impossible and it's nothing like Magix at all. Brandon explains how there's so much corruption based on what he saw in Gardenia alone, and can't imagine what it's like for the rest of the planet. Nabu followed up saying that he's never seen so much poverty and homelessness before. There's nothing like this on Andros or any of the realms in the magic dimension he has visited. Hagen says that for what they were told by Bloom, Earth has been getting worse with all the discord and disharmony that the wizard have caused. He even asks how the new specialist armors are coming along. Timmy says they haven't used it yet, but will use them in the next battle. Saladin tells them to remember what they told them of their encounter with the wizards. It's crucial that they must always keep it with them. Saladin and the Company of Light bid the boys farewell until next time. Afterwards, Sky said they should get ready and head out to meet the girls a bit sooner than later. The next scene, we see Mitzi and her crew driving through the streets of Gardenia hoping to bump into Brandon. She eventually did and threw herself onto him, much to Brandon's dismay, and it seemed very uncomfortable. She says that she and her friends were walking and seeing Bloom and the others talking to these strange guys, followed by showing them pictures of the incident, and said that they should hurry. Brandon thanked Mitzi for the information, then he and the others ran to the Winx's apartment. Mitzi and her friends were seen snickering. Transferring to the girls' apartment, the Winx, Andy, Mark, and Rio are seen working together and having fun. They were interrupted by the specialists who came buzzing down the door, pinning the guys down, which startled everyone. The girls angrily asked what was going on and why did they bust down their door, following them telling the guys to get off of Andy and his friends. Brandon says that they were informed by Mitzi and her friends that they were guys in their apartment and thought they were in trouble. Musa says nothing like that has occurred and explained that they met Andy and his friends already and they came by to adopt a pet for their partners. But the shop wasn't open yet, but stuck around to help them out for cleaning their apartment. Timmy doesn't understand why Mitzi would lie to them. Rio then spoke saying he's not sure, but he assures the guys that nothing inappropriate is happening between them and the girls. Andy said it's best that they go and told Bloom that they'll come back another time to adopt a pet. Bloom followed up by apologizing for all that has happened, and we see Andy, Mark, and Rio heading out. Sky then asks Bloom who was that guy, to which Bloom said that Andy is her ex-boyfriend from middle school. They reconnected and became friends since. Sky, looking annoyed, asks Bloom why she never told him about this Andy person, to which Bloom reminding him the same way he didn't tell her about Diaspora back in their freshman year. She even says that they broke up way before he came into the picture. This made Sky annoyed and embarrassed because she had a valid point, which caused a bit of a silence in the room. Riven then says he saw them the night of the wizard's attack and said they were getting a bit too friendly with them, bringing up Mark kissing Musa's hand and Bloom kissing Andy on the cheek. Bloom, looking annoyed, informs the guy that a kiss on the hand is a form of chivalry and appreciation on Earth. There's nothing going on between them, it's strictly platonic. Musa also clapped back at Riven for even thinking that they will ever cheat on them. They've been together for nearly 3 years now and stood by one another and proved it time and time again. Stella followed by telling Brandon and the boys that not to be so trusting of Mitzi and her crew. She speculated that they purposefully gave them the wrong information. Helia then says that he and the guys did get carried away, and they soon apologized to the girls. The girl says it's fine and accepted their apology, and soon they all made up. Timmy then told the girls that they spoke to Saladin and the others about the update of the last Earth Fairy. Flora said they're still coming up with a plan to figure out how to approach Roxy, and it really to confirm if she is or not. Nabu then asks if they need any assistance from them, which Bloom says that for now this is something that they can handle, but tells them if anything happens, they'll let them know, and the boys then soon headed out the door. After they left, the girls, especially Bloom and Stella, plan on what they should do to teach Mitzi and her friends a lesson. But Tekna intervenes saying that that is not important right now, for they have a more important focus to worry about, such as finding Roxy and to be certain she's the last Earth Fairy they've been searching for. Bloom says that she got a copy of the paperwork and the girls began their search. The girls are walking the streets, following Bloom to the address of Roxy's house. They spot her with R2 and 2 of her fairy pets, but before they could reach her, she's seen getting into a cab. Tekna then used her magic discreetly to place a micro detector chip onto Roxy's boot before she got in and soon followed her. It led them to a shack behind the fruity music bar, and now they're thinking about how to approach the situation, but Stella says that they should just head straight on and confront her. She soon began to walk towards the shack, and the girls followed, trying to stop her. We see inside that Roxy is taking care of not only R2 and the fairy pets, but we see various of birds, cats, mice, and even squirrels eating the food that she provided for them, and they soon were surrounding her, making her giggle. But the moment was cut short when Stella walked in, followed by the girls trying to stop her, scaring both Roxy and the pets, and R2 barking. Roxy then stood up and instantly recognized the girls, saying it's good to see them again, but asks why are they in her shack. The other says it's a pleasure to meet her again as well, but then she soon saw and recognized Stella from the pre-opening of the shop and stated how rude she was. This of course offends Stella, who went on a rant and told her she's one to talk, for she overheard her comment about her being full of herself at the Fruity Music Bar, and soon both of them are throwing verbal jabs at each other, to which resulted R2 barking viciously towards the girls, and Roxy is then calming him down. But when she did so, her magical energy began to activate, which confirms Aisha's speculations and saying that she was right. And the other girls said that this is the same wave of magical energy they felt when they arrived in Gardenia and have been sensing for these few weeks, confirming that Roxy is the last Earth Fairy, and for what they see, her specialty is associated with animals. Roxy replies that she doesn't look like a fairy, that fairies are elegant, kind, and graceful, but above all, they don't associate themselves with rude dogs, which annoyed Roxy and told her not to talk to R2 that way. Aisha then tells Stella to cool off, and Bloom began to explain to Roxy how she's not like most other girls, for she has special abilities and has a special connection to animals, and says that she is a fairy. Roxy naturally laughs about all of this and how utterly ridiculous this sounds, and saying that they're crazy, stating that there's no such thing as fairies and magic. She says that it's a pleasure seeing them again, but unless it has something to do with the pets, asks them if they can leave for she's busy. Flora stated that it's true and mentioned the Wizards of the Black Circle who are trying to capture her. Roxy then said that she had enough of this and says they should seek help, or she'll call the police. And we see that the animals, except for the fairy pets, are getting very defensive against the Winx. Stella, getting frustrated that this is not going anywhere, used her magic to transform one object to another to prove Roxy everything that they said was true, as she did with Mike and Vanessa back in the first episode of Season 1. Unfortunately, this caused Roxy to naturally be shocked and scared. Bloom tried to talk to her, but Roxy told her to stay away from her and then ran out with R2 and the fairy pets. Bloom says they can't lose track of her, but Techna says that she still had the detector attached to Roxy's boot. Unfortunately, they were being watched by Ogron and the Wizards, who are using the invisibility spell and began to catch Roxy before the Winx do. We see Roxy, R2, and the fairy pets in the next scene running to an abandoned factory where Roxy is convincing herself that she's trapped in some dream and pinch herself to wake up. We then see Ogron and the wizard surrounding Roxy and R2 from the shadows, to which Roxy felt uneasy about their presence. They said that they finally found her and calling her the last fairy on Earth, which annoyed Roxy. But before she could speak, the witches began to form the black circle and it started to pull her in. But before she could be absorbed in the circle, we see a light-based and fire-based blast of magic distracting the wizards, thus disrupting the circle. The girls arrived in the nick of time and began to transform into Enchantix and began to fight the wizards. This of course scares Roxy, saying that she's seeing things and that none of this is real. The Winx then use their powers to attack indirectly again, but is proven difficult to do so while trying to defend Roxy. Ogron then used another attack to knock them unconscious, leaving the situation very dire for our heroines, ending this episode.